There is an extreme heat wave hitting all of us, and now is the time to cool off with delicious homemade ice cream. But if you don't have a Ninja Creami or an expensive ice cream machine, don't worry. These recipes require no fancy equipment to make, and as an added bonus, with each recipe, I'll show you a different technique you can use to make your ice cream taste better, including my personal favorite trick on how to make any ice cream flavor you want. First thing we're making is our classic vanilla ice cream, and in a large bowl, we're gonna throw in 2 cups of heavy cream, which is one of these standard little mini cartons, as well as 100 grams of sugar. Now I'm gonna grab my hand mixer, stick it in there, and then turn it on and begin whipping our heavy cream. If you do not have a hand mixer, don't stress. You could just use a regular blender, a food processor, or just your hands with the whisk. You don't need a stand mixer or any fancy equipment to whip heavy cream. Now you should start to notice that the heavy cream is slowly starting to thicken up. You want to keep going until you get to the point where you have stiff peaks, which means if you were to lift up the whipped cream, it should not be flopping over to the side. It should be stiff and holding its structure. Depending the speed at which you're mixing this could take just around 30 seconds to a minute. Once you got to nice stiff peaks, we're gonna grab 1 can of condensed milk, which is one of my favorite things on the planet. Oh my God, this stuff's a cheat code, man. You could put this on anything. Ice cream, coffee, waffles. Now I'm gonna pour that whole can into our bowl along with 1/4 of a cup of milk, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla paste. I prefer vanilla paste over vanilla extract because I just think it tastes better. Now I'm gonna mix everything together with my blender, or if you're scared of over mixing it, you could just fold all the ingredients together with a spatula, and don't forget to give it a taste and make sure everything is nicely balanced. Oh my God. If that's what melted ice cream tastes like, we're chillin'. Now this is essentially your ice cream base, and it has a ton of beautiful airiness because of the whipping of the heavy cream, which allows us to skip the churning process and avoid any of that fancy equipment. I'm gonna pour it into a loaf pan and make sure to scrape every little bit of it out of that bowl into your pan. I'll next wrap it with some plastic wrap, and we're gonna throw it in the fridge to firm up and freeze for about 3 to 6 hours or overnight. The next day, I'm gonna take it out of the freezer, and it's looking nicely frozen together with a beautiful little speckles of vanilla beans all over it. I'm gonna grab myself a beautiful waffle cone, and then with an ice cream scooper, I'm gonna scoop out a nice little ball of vanilla ice cream. I'm by no means a professional scooper, but you wanna just keep rotating it and rolling it into a ball, kind of like building a snowman, if that makes any sense. I'm gonna lay down our scoops in our ice cream cone, and now you have a beautiful vanilla ice cream that tastes absolutely phenomenal without needing any fancy equipment. It is crazy how good a homemade ice cream can taste, and once you make it this way, you realize it's really not that complicated or hard. For our second flavor, we're making a delicious strawberry ice cream, and I'm going to show you a trick on how to infuse that strawberry flavor by first creating a strawberry syrup. We'll first need some beautiful, delicious strawberries, and do me a favor, do not forget to wash your strawberries. Ah, crud, I forgot to wash them. Once they're nicely washed, we're gonna just cut the stem off, and then we're gonna just roughly slice them. I'm gonna split them in half and then run my knife through it. You just wanna break them down to smaller little pieces and not whole chunks. Now in a small pot, we're gonna throw in our strawberries, which is about 400 grams or 2.5 cups worth. And then we're gonna throw in 180 grams of sugar, which is about 3/4 of a cup, as well as 10 grams of lemon juice, which is about half a lemon. But before you slice your lemon in half, make sure to also zest it as well, and then mince that zesting into a nice small little pieces. Now I'm gonna mix all those ingredients together in a bowl, and we're gonna bring it up to medium-high heat, letting the sugar and the strawberries melt and infuse together. You should notice the strawberries softening, and you are gonna be cooking this to a pretty high and hot temperature. You wanna get it to around 220 degrees. Once you've hit that point, we're gonna grab ourselves our immersion blender, and then we're gonna stick it into our pot pot and blend all those strawberries together. You can just mash them up with a spoon, but I prefer a smoother consistency, so I'm gonna be blending it. And if you don't have a hand blender, just use a regular blender as well. Once it's nicely blended, we're gonna next toss in our zested lemon and a little pinch of salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon to half. Give it a good mixing together and make sure to taste it so you could double check the salt levels as well as the levels of the lemon juice. Ooh, that is good. Ooh, that is delightful. Get over here. Now this is your strawberry syrup or jam. We're gonna pour this into a container and we're gonna want it to fully cool down before we use it. So throw it in the fridge, or if you're impatient like me, put it in a bowl with cold water and continue mixing it until it's cooled down. From here, I'm gonna grab a large bowl, toss in 2 cups of heavy cream, only 50 grams of sugar this time. Whip it with our hand mixer until we get nice, stiff, firm peaks. And now we're gonna toss in 1 can of condensed milk, 1/4 of a cup of whole milk, 1 tablespoon of vanilla paste, and now 300 grams of our strawberry syrup. This right here is only 100 grams worth, but I pour in the rest of it later on. I'm gonna give it a mixing, and then I'm gonna realize I almost forgot 1/2 teaspoon of salt before mixing it thoroughly. And you can see I'm pouring in the rest of the strawberry syrup before mixing it all together and tasting to see if it actually does taste like strawberries. Oh yeah, you're right. That is perfectly strawberry. Woo, that's good. Now this is your melted strawberry ice cream, and I gotta say, I'm really happy about that pink color. It really does just scream strawberry to me. Now I'm gonna grab a bread loaf and I'm gonna pour our strawberry ice cream into it, making sure to tap it so it gets nice and even. And as a little piece de resistance, I'm gonna pour a little bit of our strawberry jam over top of it, and then with my spoon, I'm just gonna kind of decorate it and give it a cool little design. It was my first time ever doing this, honestly, and I was very happy how it turned out. Now we're gonna wrap this sucker with plastic wrap and then throw it in the freezer for anywhere between 3 to 6 hours, or preferably overnight. Also, this is absolutely not how you're supposed to be handling your camera equipment, but this is a solo production and I had no one else to help me flip my camera screen. The next day, our ice cream is nicely frozen together. I'm gonna grab myself an ice cream scooper and scoop out some nice little dollops of it, laying it into a waffle cone. And feel free to decorate it with a little bit of that strawberry syrup or some fresh strawberries if you like that. I didn't like it. Now this is your strawberry ice cream, which I gotta say was probably the most refreshing of the 3 flavors we've made. I'm usually not a fan of strawberry ice cream, but this one blew my mind. It was so good, and I'll make this again and again for my friends and family. Oh, now would be as good of a time as ever to remind you guys to please hit the like and subscribe button. Would appreciate the love and support. But now let's make my personal favorite one, our Nutella and pretzel ice cream. And this method is different because it does require a little bit of fancy equipment. First, let me show you how we infuse and make any flavor ice cream we want. In a small container, we're gonna pour in 1 cup's worth of whole milk. From here, I'm gonna toss in a very large tablespoon of Nutella, as well as a few handfuls of pretzels. But I'm gonna first put the pretzels in a Ziploc bag, and then I'm gonna crush them nice and small. Oh, and as a quick side note, the best snack in the world is a salty pretzel dipped in a rich, creamy, chocolatey Nutella. I promise you won't be disappointed. Now we're gonna pour our crushed pretzels into our milk, and we're gonna mix everything together. What we're doing here is infusing all of the Nutella and pretzels into our milk, and it's better to crush them down because it speeds up that infusion process. We're gonna now leave this alone for anywhere between 30 minutes to overnight. I prefer to leave it in the fridge overnight to really absorb all those flavors. If you wanna use this technique with our first 2 recipes, I would infuse the heavy cream before you start whipping it. The next day, you should have a admittedly kind of gross looking, but deliciously infused Nutella and pretzel milk. This is gonna function as the base of our ice cream, which will give us all the flavors of that Nutella and pretzel. But first, we're gonna need to strain out all of the pretzels and excess Nutella into a small container, and now this is that base I was just telling you about. Feel free to give it a taste because I promise you won't be disappointed. Ooh, that tastes Really good, holy cow. It tastes like Nutella and salted pretzels. That's wild. Now, in a medium-sized pot, we're gonna pour in 2 cups of heavy cream as well as our 1 cup of infused milk. Give it a mix to make sure everything is nicely incorporated, and now turn on the heat because we're gonna bring this up to temperature. We wanna get this to a nice simmer, which is about 185 degrees. You can see I accidentally overshot it, but that's okay. Once you see the steam coming off the pot, you should be good. From here, I'm gonna cut the heat and then toss in 1 tablespoon of vanilla paste, making sure to mix it thoroughly into the whole liquid. What we're doing here is essentially steeping that vanilla paste into a warm liquid, which allows it to bloom and further enhance its flavors. So we're gonna set this mixture to the side and let it steep for 10 minutes. In the meantime, we are gonna grab a medium-sized bowl and toss in 120 grams worth of sugar as well as 4 egg yolks. To separate the eggs from the egg yolks, I'm gonna crack them into a small container, and then with my hands, I'm gonna scoop up the yolk and then roll it in between my 2 hands, getting all the egg whites off of it in between my fingers. This is a messy way of doing it, but it's also, I think, the easiest and cleanest way. I'm gonna transfer the egg yolks into another container, and I'll keep doing this for the rest of the eggs until I have a container of just egg yolks. And don't toss away those egg whites. You can still use them to make a really gross and disgusting egg white scramble. I don't want to say egg whites are bad, but I will say that I'm not particularly good at cooking them yet. I'm also going to toss in half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and then with a whisk, we're going to whisk the eggs and sugar together. Give it kind of a hard whisking. You want to really incorporate all that sugar into the eggs, and you should see the egg color turn a little lighter yellow. This happened within like 30 seconds of just whisking it kind of hard. Now our vanilla bean and milk mixture has steeped for 10 minutes, and if you give it a smell, I promise you won't be disappointed. That smells like s'mores, like a Nutella s'mores. That smells so freaking good. Holy cow. I'm going to now pour in a little bit of that hot milk mixture into our egg and sugar mixture and mix it together thoroughly. What we're doing here is tempering the eggs, so we're gradually bringing the temperature up of our egg mixture with our milk mixture before fully incorporating them. If you pour too much of that milk mixture in, you're gonna curdle and cook those eggs, so do a little bit at a time. Once half the mixture is in, you can pour the rest of it all at once. Once our egg mixture and our milk mixtures are fully combined together, we're gonna pour it back into the pot and with a strainer there to catch any cooked egg bits. The strainer is optional so long as you tempered it gently, but you can still see that there are some little bits of cooked egg that got left behind. Now from here, we're gonna bring this mixture back up on heat and we're gonna constantly be whisking it. We are essentially making a thick custard and we're in the thickening stage, but it can be screwed up very easily. So you're going to want to monitor the heat and constantly be whisking it so that way the entire liquid is coming up to heat gradually all together. Once this temperature is hit 195 degrees, that means the eggs are fully cooked and it is perfectly thickened up. You want to immediately cut the heat and then pour it into a separate container to cool down. Now this is your Nutella and pretzel ice cream custard, and you could give it a taste to see if it tastes good, and I promise you it tastes phenomenal. Now we're going to want to throw this in the fridge so that way it could fully cool down, or you could use that strawberry jam cooling method I showed you earlier. Now from here, I'm going to grab myself my stand mixer as well as my ice cream bowl attachment to help churn this ice cream. This bowl we put in the freezer overnight so it's nice and cold, and this is the fancy equipment that I was mentioning earlier that you'll need. I'm going to pour in our cooled custard into that bowl, and then I'm going to turn it on at low speed and let it churn our ice cream for about 15 to 30 minutes. The time it takes to churn the ice cream does vary. Sometimes it's only 15 minutes, other times it's the whole 30 minutes, but you will start noticing the thickening up of the ice cream. In the meantime, I'm gonna crush a few pretzels so I could put them in there as a topping, and I tried to use parchment paper this time, but it was not nearly as good as the plastic bag because it exploded. Now, once the ice cream has thickened up nicely, I'm gonna pour all of our pretzel bits in there just to get some nice little pretzel-y bites when you bite into the ice cream. And then I'm gonna turn off our stand mixer and pull out that little scraper tool and make sure to get all the ice cream out from inside of that sucker. Really scrape all of it because that stuff is gold and you don't want any of it to go to waste. Now, this is our Nutella and pretzel ice cream, and you could definitely serve it right now, but I tend to like to put it in a container first and then throw it in the freezer just to firm up a little bit more. After a quick 1 hour or an overnight break in the freezer, it's now time to make ourselves some ice cream with it. I'm gonna scoop out a couple nice little balls of ice cream, and the nice thing about this custard method is that it actually remains soft even after leaving it in the freezer for a while. I've made this ice cream and kept it frozen for weeks, and it's super soft and scoopable the second I take it out of the freezer. Now, to decorate this one, I'm gonna stick in a nice little piece of pretzel, and I'm gonna drizzle in a little bit of Nutella that I melted in the microwave, and now this is your Nutella pretzel ice cream. If you have a big sweet tooth, I promise you this is gonna be your favorite ice cream. It tastes like a s'mores with a mixture of the pretzel and the Nutella. It blew my mind how good it was, and you get some nice little pretzel bits inside the ice cream as well. I will also mention that if you incorporate the pretzels inside the ice cream, they do soften a little bit. They're not very crunchy. So if that's a texture that you don't want in your ice cream, don't pour the pretzels in there like I did. But I promise you're still gonna love this ice cream nonetheless. This thing blew my mind. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more dessert recipes, here's the link to my tart recipe. Delicious, highly recommend. Please hit the like and subscribe button and have a wonderful rest of your day.